Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like the model of the house and that letter of the guy saying that he pledges his allegiance to King George.
Absolutely. So after the Battle of Brooklyn, I don't want to give it away, but the Americans lose. So the British owns Brooklyn. They invade Brooklyn and stay there for 7 years. And if you're still in Brooklyn, that means you got to sign a pledge of loyalty to the king, which is kind of like different than how we handle our elections today. So you're absolutely right. The Battle of Brooklyn is a big part of our story, and we see that scattered in our museum space. We're going to be talking about the battle, which is why we're in front of this map. It's going to give us a little bit of context. So some people say that Brooklyn looks like a seahorse. You guys going to see that?
Yeah.
You got the head up here and the belly. So that's going to kind of ground us in this discussion. The Old Stone House, where you are right now, is a freckle on the neck of the seahorse. We're going to see why that's such an important place. Now, our story begins in March of 1776 because George Washington moves him and his army up to lower Manhattan. He just finished a campaign in Boston. He kicked out all the British from Boston. He's feeling good about himself, but he gets an idea. I need to defend New York City from British invasion. And he's absolutely right, because that's the next plan for the British. They're going to come in and take over New York City. Do you guys know why New York and New York City was so important in the Revolutionary War? I can think of 3 reasons. Let me hear some guesses. Why New York City is important? It's our hometown. Yeah.
The resources.
The resources, absolutely. Now, I'm thinking of a particular resource. It has to do with a geographic feature on this map. It's like it kind of dominates this side of the map. Let me see.
The ocean.
The ocean. New York City has a bunch of harbors. Now, that's how all the resources get in and out of New York City. That's where a lot of trade comes in. Also, Britain, they have the best navy in the world. That's why we have this ship right here. They invaded Brooklyn with 500 warships. If you're bringing all those warships over, you want a place to park them. So you need New York City's harbors. That's one reason. The next reason has to do with Hudson River. Yeah, you have an idea?
The British used the Hudson River to bring back their troops.
Absolutely. So the Hudson River is connected to New York City. It also goes all the way up to Quebec in Canada. And do you guys know who owns Canada in 1776? It's not us.
The French.
No.
Not the French. The British. Yes. The French, other parts of Canada. You guys are on the right track. But if the British owns the top of the river and the bottom of the river, they got one big highway to move troops, supplies, and anything they need. That would be super bad news for George Washington. Last reason has to do with where New York is in the colonies. Right in the middle. So you got Massachusetts up here in the north, you got the Carolinas down here, and New York is right in the middle. If you control the middle, you cut everyone in half, and that's going to be super hard for George Washington to get over. So, pop quiz. What are 3 reasons for Britain wanting to take over New York City? What are 3 reasons for George Washington wanting to defend New York City? I just gave you the answers. Yeah.
Harbor.
Harbors, that's one.
He wants New York City because he knows that if the British gets it,
It's over. It's over for the United States if the British gets it. Absolutely. I hear harbors or some other reasons. Resources, absolutely. Yeah. I know I saw that hand. Oh man. What about the river? What about the Hudson River? Why is that important?
because the British used it to bring back troops.
Absolutely. Super important for the British. And it's right in the middle. Awesome. If that's something that you can keep in your back pocket when you leave the Old Stone House, I'd be happy. March of 1776, George Washington gets here. And he has a bunch of militias with him. You guys know what a militia is?
Yes.
Group of soldiers, not super experienced. These are farm boys as old as 14, and old men as old as 60. They've never fought in a war before. They don't have like good guns. They just have their hunting rifle maybe. They don't have official uniforms. It's kind of ragtag. It's kind of sloppy. There's one unit, there's one group of soldiers that actually knows what they're doing. They're actually trained. It's the Maryland 400, and that's the heroes of our battle. Keep that in mind, Maryland 400. So for March, April, and May, these soldiers, these militias from Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, they're all hanging out in Lower Manhattan. They're having a good time. They're learning about each other. They're learning how to be soldiers, learning how to shoot. It's great. There's no enemy yet. Like the whole war business hasn't really started. Until June 1776, things change. Britain moves in with 500 warships. It's the biggest invasion in New York City's history. They move in and they park them near Staten Island where they have a lot of friends. They're not going to move a muscle until their Hessians arrive. Who are the Hessians? Yeah? German mercenaries. Now, do they really care about the whole revolution thing, or are they there for another reason? They're there for money. So if you guys are pretending to be patriot soldiers right now, you are not happy to see the Hessians. These are bloodthirsty, hired killers. They don't take prisoners. That's bad news for you. You may think like, oh, they don't take prisoners. Sweet, they won't take me prisoner. No, they just kill people. They kill people. That's their job. So that is bad. We got 20,000 British soldiers, some of the best trained soldiers in the world, and 8,000 bloodthirsty German mercenaries. And you guys are a bunch of ragtag farmers. So it's, George Washington has a problem. You guys know Battery Park?
Yes.
It's named after the battery. It's a fort from this time period. George Washington has hidden something in this fort. What do you think it is? If you were a soldier in 1776, what wouldn't you want your enemy to get? Yeah? Guns. Yeah, weapons. We're gonna definitely, it's weapons, not guns. What type of weapons? It's not going to be the little pew, pew, pew guns.
Muskets.
Not bigger than muskets.
Cannons.
Cannons. George Washington hides his cannons in the battery. Cannons are heavy, rare, super powerful. The Patriots only have a few. They don't have as many as the British. So they got to be really careful about it. So in June, with all this pressure coming, they're going to move into the head of the Seahorse. The Patriots are going to move into the head of the Seahorse, North Brooklyn, Red Hook, Cobble Hill, Brooklyn Heights, and put up forts and cannons here. So if the British try to get too far north, they're going to get a hole blown in their ship. This is how George Washington is going to protect Lower Manhattan and the Battery. Now that the Germans have arrived in August of 1776, the British are going to move into, there they go, they're going to move into Flatbush. And they take over Flatbush, set up their troops there. George Washington's troops, they're moving to this ridge of hills in the middle of Brooklyn. And we're talking about why that's so important. Slow it down, slow it down. George Washington, in a disadvantage, is going to do an old school trick. He's going to put his dudes on the top of the hill. Can someone tell me, why is it better to be at the top of the hill compared to the bottom of the hill during a battle? Yeah? You can see the whole scene. Your line of sight is far improved. What else?
Higher ground advantage.
Higher ground advantage, absolutely. What makes it an advantage? Would you rather push a cannon down a hill or up a hill?
Down.
Exactly. The higher advantage is because you're fighting a force. What force are you fighting when you're walking uphill? Gravity. You're fighting gravity. If you're already fighting an army, you don't want to be fighting gravity too. That's just too much. So, your line of sight is improved. You have the advantage. You're not fighting gravity. That's another reason you want to be at the top of the hill. Yeah?
Potential energy.
Potential energy. So you raise an object up. We'll check that out. I stepped onto these rug squares. I gain a little bit of potential energy because I'm higher. I'm going to convert it back to kinetic. Fantastic. So if you're up there and you have a gun, you can shoot. You can see further. You can shoot further. The bullet's going to have more kinetic energy too. All right, we got some physics. We got some history. We're just wrapping it all in. Oh, here's some English too. Do you know the phrase "an uphill battle"? Like if something's really hard, it's an uphill battle. Like you're down 40 points in a game and you want to come back. That's an uphill battle. So that's a phrase that you can use. And maintaining the higher ground. Some things say if like someone's really messing with you, and you say like I'm not going to let this get to me. I'm going to be a good person. I'm just going to walk away. That's maintaining the higher ground, and that speaks to this same strategy. So George Washington is going to put his people on the top of the hills and in these little passes in between the hills. I'm going to ask you a similar question. Why would you want to protect those passes? Especially considering Britain normally marches like this wide, like 12 people wide. In those passes, they got to shrink it down to maybe 2 or 3. So why is it important to protect those passes or to attack those passes? Yeah?
Because if they go through the passes, they'll probably reach up to the hill.
So you're saying if they go through the passes, they'll get to the hill, and that's where we have the advantage? Absolutely. So we can have the advantage up here on the hill, kind of shooting down toward them on the pass. You have another idea, sir? Is that what you're going to say?
The British are trying to go through there.
Yeah, exactly. We know that the British are not going to go over the hills because they understand this advantage too. They're going to go through the pass. And usually when they're walking this wide, they're going to have to go this wide. It's going to slow them down. It's going to make them vulnerable. This is how George Washington is going to start evening the odds. So the battle starts August 27th. The day before, the British do something really sneaky. So George Washington has his men covering 3 passes. He doesn't have a lot of men. He's spread thin. There's a pass 10 miles to the east that George Washington doesn't really defend. The British find this out. And in the middle of the night, starting at 4 a.m., well, there they go. They march 10 miles to the east to Jamaica Pass. Now, there's only about 100 soldiers defending Jamaica Pass. Can someone guess how many men are marching towards it under British command? More than 1,000. Let me see another guess. 10,000 exactly. Very well done, sir. Usually I play a little game. 1,000. No. 2,000. No. 10,000 exactly. So we have 100 and 10,000. Who's going to win that battle?
10,000.
10,000. They steamroll through that pass. They totally smoke the guys there. And they lie down behind the tall grass in this pass. By 9 a.m., the battle is going to start. So let me see. Let me where my soldiers are. All right, you guys are soldiers. Right here. You crouch down, and you're facing south, and you see the Germans coming towards you. This is what you're ready for. This is fine. But you turn around, and you see 10,000 British soldiers. It's not what you prepared for. So you're outnumbered 6-1. What do you guys want to do? Run! I love it. I sometimes I get people in here and they talk about hiding in trees, or we're gonna outsmart them, or I'm gonna make some dynamite. No, you run away. You run away. They make a retreat. You cannot go north. You cannot go south. You cannot go east. You have to go west. All right. So that's one pass. This is all like 9 o'clock in the morning. So also you got to remember the British. They just marched 10 miles in the middle of the night, holding like 50-pound backpacks and their guns, marching 10 miles, and then no sleep, no food, start the battle. It's pretty crazy. At this other pass, same story. All right, my soldiers over here. You're outnumbered 6-1. British on your back, Hessians on your front. What do you want to do? You want to fight? All right. Pew! You got 1. They're still coming. Oh, no, they got you. Other ideas? You're bleeding now?
Retreat for now.
Let's retreat for now. Let's retreat for now. We're going to fight back real soon. You guys can't retreat north. Can't retreat south. Can't retreat east. You got to go west. Same thing happens for the Maryland 400. They make a strategic retreat. And all this activity, all this battling that happens all over Brooklyn funnels directly to here at the Old Stone House. Now, the Old Stone House in 1776 is abandoned. A few months ago, the owner, Old Man Vector, or Mr. Vector, who happens to be an old man, he's like 76, he's there. He has a bunch of nice stuff there. He's got a nice farm there, he's got animals, he's got food, he has some valuables. He looks this way, he sees an army. He looks this way, he sees an army. He doesn't want to really give up his stuff. So what is Old Man Vector going to do? Let me see your hand. What is Old Man Vector going to do with the Old Stone House and all this stuff? He's going to take it and get the heck out of town. So the Old Stone House is abandoned until the British take over. So they knew the maps. They knew that the Patriot Army would get funneled into this point. So they took over the Old Stone House and they made it a fort. They took it over and made it a defensive encampment. If people saw the diorama in here, you saw the Old Stone House like that, with the windows all messed up, with the cannon pointing out, with the muskets pointing out of every window. It was a trap. So as you guys escape from your overwhelming positions, you just run into a killing field. This is where the Maryland 400 become the heroes of this battle. They decide to do something brave. They decide to do something stupid brave. They charge this fort, this superiorly defended position, not once, not twice, but 6 times. They hurl themselves at the Old Stone House, which is just, they're not taking it, they're not like coming into the house and like clearing it Call of Duty style, like room by room. They're just barely getting to the door and just having to fall back again and again. While they're making this sacrifice, it gives everyone here, it gives every Patriot soldier a chance to escape past the Old Stone House and into the head of the Seahorse. of the 400 men in the Maryland 400, or in the Maryland Regiment, most of them were killed or captured on this spot. 256 of them were killed on this spot. So right now it's a museum, it's a children's playground, it's some AstroTurf. 350 years ago, it was the site of some of the bloodiest fighting of the Revolutionary War yet. Because of their sacrifice, George Washington was able to escape. Because of their sacrifice, someone from Maryland shows up every year and helps us be grateful. It's a big part of our story here at the Old Stone House. Now, the battle starts at 9 a.m. It ends at noon. Who won?
The British.
The British, absolutely. So George Washington, after getting his butt kicked a little bit, is right in the North Brooklyn, just kind of, nursing his wounds. All Britain has to do at this point is move in to the head of the seahorse, take out George Washington, and this whole revolution business is over.
And we'll all be British.
And we'll all be British. Is that what happened?
No.
No, thankfully. You got something?
They escaped with the lucky smoke.
They escaped with like the most lucky things happen for them. So, like a freak storm blows in to Brooklyn right at the right time. It starts to rain. Now this is bad news for your British guns, because the gunpowder got totally soaked. So before they can shoot, now, they're just. Did you see the bayonet upstairs?
Yes.
So they just had their bayonets. They had close quarter combat. And the fog came in super thick. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. So Britain, they had a decision to make. Are we going to move in right now in the middle of this foggy rainstorm and like chance it with no weapons and like it's going to be super dangerous? Or are we going to wait until the rain stops? The general was kind of cool. He was kind of collected. He said, I'm going to wait until the rain stops. George Washington is not going anywhere. I'm going to be okay. This gave George Washington like 24 hours to do some work. With the help of John Glover's Marblehead Mariners, these tough fishermen from Massachusetts, George Washington got all of his soldiers, like 8,000 men, horses, cannons, supplies, a whole 9 yards from Brooklyn to Manhattan, all in the middle of this terrible storm, in the middle of this fog, and this lucky smoke. Now, if that didn't happen, like we said, we may be speaking with the British accent. We might have had a completely different outcome to the Revolutionary War. Now,